like an hour later, there is a strange guy with curly hair in an orange robe, and he carries a blanket, and he comes to me. I mean, I have 3 blankets because there are 3 seats, and he brings the 4th blanket and gives it to me. For you, bless you. And I was like, how does he know, what I thought? And then, I was, I felt like a Beverly Hills ninja.
I'm good. Just tell me your story, how it all started, and you had some amazing experiences of intuition with Sai Baba. Tell me about how you thought of India and how you came in the plane. Tell me.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, first I would like to present myself. I'm the founder of Tesla Metamorphosis, and that is connected to the scientist Nikola Tesla. So that is how we can make the connection. But at that time, and it was in 2001, I didn't have a clue that I will be doing anything connected to Nikola Tesla. At that time, I was doing Reiki, and I was a Reiki teacher, and there was a national conference of Reiki in Sydney. So I said that there is enough place in my house if somebody wants to stay there. And 2 ladies from Perth came, and so one was talking that she's going to India to an ashram, and it sounded pretty interesting, but I thought, I have so many things to do, maybe some other time, though it looks.
Yeah.
And so they left, and after the conference, as I was a Reiki teacher, I organized a Reiki seminar. And on one table, I put Dr. Usui, and like 15 minutes before the seminar started, I received a bunch of flowers from the lady from Perth who was staying at my place. And I started the class. I was sitting in a bay window, and across from me were my students. And I started the class when I spotted a column of light on the right side of myself. And I looked at my students, but it didn't seem that they noticed everything. So I said, I better be silent. They'll say, this teacher is weird. And next morning, I wanted to vacuum the living room before the students come. And on this spot where the column of light was, were 2 footprints. A small footprints like a child of 10. And it was as if somebody landed and flew away. There were no footprints to this spot, no footprints from this spot. So I tried to clean it, but it couldn't go because it was like as if there was a chemical reaction between the floorboard and the feet. And so when my students came, we started measuring our feet, but no one was even near that. And that was, and what was interesting, because I made the photo of the footprints and the photo of the bunch of flowers to send to my friend from Perth, saying her, thank you, those are the flowers you gave me, and guess what happened, and that was the end of the story. So that was somewhere in September. On 1st November, my friend had a birthday, and 3 of us were having a lunch, but I was like, those are my friends, I know them well, but I was like out of space, like that all doesn't make sense. And I had some urge, I have to go somewhere. And so I left them and I walked on the beach because that helps me, when I get in that state of mind. Um, and then I came home and just I rang Gail, this friend from Perth, uh, just to talk to another alien and to ask her how was it in India, because I thought she was in India in October. And she said, oh, I'm going tomorrow first thing in the morning. And I hear myself saying, oh, I must go too. And then she was silent and she said, look, Anja, you need at least 5 days to get the visa, and then you need to get those injections. I said, don't worry about the injections, I wouldn't take them anyway. And so this evening I rang a friend of mine from who has a travel agency, and I asked her, oh, could you get me a plane ticket for India for tomorrow? And she said, oh, what city are you going to? I said, I don't know. She laughed. And so, you know, uh, I just knew I have to go to India. And I told to Gail, I actually thought that that's a group from Perth, and this Nigel who was organizing the trip is somewhere around the corner from her. So I asked her, could you ask him if I could get into the group? And she said, well, I'll contact him. But later on, she told me she couldn't contact him, but she will send me emails. And that was a bunch of emails. They were exchanging emails for 6 months. So, to find out what is where, and so on. And from those emails, I learned that we need to get to Bangalore, and from Bangalore to Puttaparthi. Okay, so I rang my friend, I need a ticket to Bangalore. And she said, where is it? I said, look into your computer. And so she said, that's the last ticket on this plane. I had to change planes somewhere. I don't remember exactly where. And so I rang the consulate in Sydney and asked, could I get visa today for today? And there was silence on the other side. And then they asked, where are you going to? And I was reading Puttaparthi because it wasn't a familiar name for me. And they said, well, if you come with a ticket, you might get visa. We work with the visas until 12 noon, and that was already 11:30 or something. So I packed something, I don't know what, and the funny thing was my husband didn't complain at all, which was weird. Like, I say yesterday I have to go to India around 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and next day at 2 o'clock I'm on the plane. What was also a miracle, there was a free parking place just in front of the consulate. So I get into consulate and there is a big queue, and I go straight to the desk and I said, look, I need visa today for today. And she sent me to the consul, and everybody was smiling at me. And then the consul gave me visa for 2 entries, no problem. And I was on the airport and at the airport, the lady asked me if I prefer a window seat or, I said, well, stick me anywhere on the tail, but I want to get there. And so at the airport, I sent a message to Gail. Um, I'm arriving to Bangalore around midnight, so please send me a message where to go, because I had no idea, And I had no idea that she left her mobile in Perth. Anyway, I was so blessed and happy, and without any worries that and uh, I didn't have I had just my credit card and $250 because I didn't even have time to go to MTA to pick up some money. So I get into plane. The plane is full like this, and I have 3 seats just to rest. And that was Thai Airlines. So I was looking, oh, those are so beautiful blankets, cashmere and like violet and gray. It looks really nice. It would be nice for my Reiki table. And like an hour later, there is a strange guy with curly hair in an orange robe, and he carries a blanket, and he comes to me. I mean, I have 3 blankets because there are 3 seats, and he brings the 4th blanket and gives it to me. For you, bless you. And I was like, how does he know, what I thought? And then, I was, I felt like a Beverly Hills ninja, and I even didn't recognize it was Sai Baba. And I thought, okay, well, yeah, I mean, but how could I take it? It would be stealing, I can't just take a blanket from the airplane. And then 2 hours later, here he comes again. One more for you, bless you. And I took this blanket, I keep it, it's with me in Sydney. Okay, and then at midnight, I arrive in Bangalore. And I even didn't have time to look around where to change money because everything was closed, at midnight. And I hear a voice behind me, Anja, you made it. That was Gail. She was waiting for some other lady, and actually she was waiting for me, not even knowing that she was waiting for me. And because I thought, in all those emails, I read some Thai residential hotel, and I thought, okay, so I'll look for her there. But she was not staying in this hotel; she was staying in another hotel. And also, I had no idea that there are no taxi signs on taxis in India. I was totally ignorant. So I went with them to that hotel. They complained that there was no hot water. I had hot water, I had everything, I was fine. And that was really an amazing experience. I mean, I'm not an obedient person, and I don't stick to the rules or something. But I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and sit in the queue to get into ashram. That's not me. And the fact that you arrived earlier doesn't mean that you will get in earlier, because we sit in 4 rows, and then they come out with like some bag with numbers. So those who came last might get first. So it wasn't the reason like to come earlier to like get in earlier. But it was a special, uh, like some peaceful atmosphere, like meditation. It's a special experience. And I just felt at home. Some people are overwhelmed and very excited. I wasn't excited. I was just at home. Only once I got really emotional. I had Sai was passing by, and I had eye contact with him. And then I heard him saying, "The footprints are mine." And then the tears started running, you know, down my face. And there was an American lady between me and Gail. So I just told her, "Tell Gail the footprints are his." And then Gail started crying. And I felt really great. I felt um, I somehow I felt at home there in Puttaparthi. I was walking through the village. I was going up to a wishing tree and sitting there and enjoying that's the tree where Sai Baba used to meditate. And I was going well with monkeys that were jumping around, so everything was fine. And but the one other funny thing was this Nigel who organized all the trip. He was staying in Sai Residential Hotel, and there were people coming from Mexico, from Australia, from America, and from Russia. And he had the message to take 25, no more, no less. And so when I read that in these emails, I said, "Oh, so I'm coming as 26, like 13 piglet." But for some reason, somebody gave up. And then Nigel was thinking, "Oh, what went wrong?" And then I'm jumping in like the 25th. So everything was the right numbers. And that was in 2001. And after coming from India, just next week, I was introduced to reconnective healing. And that was one new chapter in my uh, journey of a healer. But what was not clear, Nigel said that he is bringing the group that has a special mission. And while we were in Puttaparthi, we didn't learn what was our mission. So there is a lady in Bangalore who has contact with Sai Baba, and on our way back, we went to visit her to maybe find out what is our mission. And so she said that's to be evolved. So we didn't get the answer, but each of us had a chance to talk to her. Like we were in the circle, so everybody could ask a question. And I asked, "What is my purpose?" And she said, "You are a healer. You are going to be a great healer." And she keeps her palms like this, and then she opens her palms, and there are eyes on her palms. And she says, "You are a healer. You are going to be a great healer. You are going to be me." And I was so confused, I even didn't manage to ask whether I'm going to be her or I'm going to be Sai. But I don't have curly hair as yet. No, I'm joking. So when we were going back, then some people from the group asked, "Oh, when you become Sai, would you allow us to hug you?" I said, "Yeah, I love being hugged." But no, I mean, I don't know exactly what was the meaning of this message. But what is interesting, as soon as I came to back to Sydney, I was introduced to reconnective healing, and I was doing reconnective healing for 8 years. and I thought maybe that's this mission I need to do. But and I brought reconnection to former Yugoslavia, because I thought that's what I need to do. And then Tesla happened to me. Uh, I happened to be in Belgrade, which is capital of Serbia, and you know that Tesla is Serbian by origin. And I rented some place to work from. Um, so I was doing reconnective healing, and that morning, and it happened to be 10th of July, I went to this place much earlier for no reason, but there is always a reason. And I was just standing by the window and looking, and enjoying the dance of morning sun on the roofs of Belgrade, and something magical happened. Two completely white doves from two sides in half a circle came straight into the window in front of me, picked the window with their beaks, moved their wings like two ballerinas following the same choreography, and flew away. And that filled me with joy. I felt something important happened because you don't see such a scenery every day. And by the way, it was 10th of July, which is Tesla's birthday, and I wasn't even aware of that. And after that, my client came. I started doing what I believed is a reconnective healing session. And I hear voice in my head, male voice. I think it was Tesla. He said, Tesla healing. You need to reconstruct Tesla healing. And I was like, what a nonsense. Because of course, I was brought up in former Yugoslavia, and I knew about Nikola Tesla and about his inventions. But what we didn't learn is about his spirituality and about his interest in human health. So this message didn't make any sense to me, like Tesla and healing. And who am I to reconstruct something a genius Tesla invented? So I couldn't find any meaning in it. And I continued the session. It's again Tesla healing. You need to reconstruct. What can I reconstruct? I had no idea. So that day, there were 9 coincidences telling me I needed to do something connected to Nikola Tesla. And one of those was that I received in mail an article from engineer Marjanovic, who managed to reconstruct Tesla amplifier with extra coil, and who wrote about non-Hertzian waves Tesla was working with. So I thought, okay, I start from science. I'll try to get in contact with this engineer, and maybe I'll get some answers. So if he would if he would be bothered to talk to some lady who waves her hands and heals, because I had prejudice about scientists, they wouldn't do that. But I was surprised. He was very happy to talk to me. And he said if I didn't mind, he would invite Professor Abramovich, because Professor Abramovich is known as a scientist who knew most about Nikola Tesla. Of course, I didn't mind, And they came to my place around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And we were talking until midnight. I brought to them even a calendar. One of the things was at that time I was renovating my mother. That's only one bathroom in the apartment, so all the floor was painted with some waterproofing material. So I was looking for something to put on the floor, and I saw a calendar that was out of date, old calendar. So I ripped 2 pages, put them down. On one, Tesla's face and some lightning. On the other, a man with a light bulb in his head. So all calendar was with reproductions of artists because they made an exhibition after 150 years since Tesla was born. So I even brought that calendar, like, look, and this happened and that happened. And those two scientists, they were just nodding their heads like two kids, saying, yes, yes, that is Tesla. And my eyes were getting bigger and bigger. And so they actually, they told me something what I didn't know about Nikola Tesla. They told me about his spirituality and his interest for human health. But what they couldn't tell me was, what is that I need to reconstruct? So it took me 9 more months to put all the puzzles together, and I was going in and out like, am I imagining? But then, okay, but the fact is that this happened and that happened and this happened. So finally, I get to that state of mind when I simply knew I'm doing something different, and it is connected to Nikola Tesla. But I didn't know how to explain that to others. So then I heard about Dr. Oldfield from London and about this special PIP camera. Because you see, if I'm using those Tesla waves, they are non-Hertzian waves. So we can't measure them. How could we have proof that we are using them when we cannot measure them? But thanks to that special camera, we can now see them. And so I was about to go to buy the plane tickets to England to find this Dr. Oldfield, when I received a report.
Can I have your attention, please? Can I have your attention, please? Can all traders please stop serving? Can all traders please stop serving as the exhibition is now closed? Can all parents or carers please ensure that all children are now leaving the Great Hall and the West Hall areas as we now need to prepare for playground? Can all children be taken out of the main areas as we prepare for playground?
Okay, so where were we?
You were preparing that Tesla.
Yeah, so I was actually ready to buy tickets to go to London and to find Dr. Oldfield. And then I received in email a report from Mountain Rotan in Serbia. They discovered that that's actually a pyramid. And so in this report, there is an image of this pyramid made by this PIP camera that is constructed by Dr. Harry Oldfield. Dr. Professor Ljubo Ristovski from the Institute for Bioenergetic Research in Belgrade photographed with PIP camera. And then scientists were measuring the energy on the top of the mountain, and then they discovered that it's weaker on the very top of the mountain, the pyramid, yeah, and stronger away from the pyramid. So they assumed that this pyramid is withdrawing some energy from space. But then in this group was also engineer Marjanovic, who managed to reconstruct this Tesla amplifier with extra coil that radiates those waves that we now call Tesla waves. And so because that's the standard in Serbia, his laboratory is his weekend house. So he had that in the car and demonstrated to other scientists that there are such frequencies of energy that they get stronger with the distance. So when and Professor Ristovsky made a photo of this amplifier, identical purple colors that are on the top of the pyramid appear around that amplifier. And what was also interesting, when the amplifier was switched off, this energy field stayed for quite a long time. And Tesla explained in his Canadian patents that those frequencies are different from Hertzian, not just in frequency, but also in their structure and form, that they are multidimensional and that they are in the domain of completely new physics. Are you on the same, do you see me?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay. So they are in a part of completely different physics. And so when I saw all that, I decided to be brave and to invite Professor Ristovsky to make photos at the seminar that I was planning to do in Belgrade. And that is how we have colorful and on white that we can access those Tesla waves. So that is connection with Nikola Tesla. But what is amazing is that at my very first seminar of Tesla Metamorphosis in Sydney, one of my students forwarded to me a quote from a book that was published in Italy. One lady from Italy, from Milan, has direct contacts with Sai Baba, and she published a book with all the messages she got. So in this quote, Sai Baba says, "I brought you an angel, Nikola Tesla, to help you improve your destiny. But you humans were greedy," and so on and so on. So I'm sometimes a control freak. So I had to go to Milan to meet this lady, and she told me that she had no idea who Nikola Tesla was, and Sai told her, yes, you heard correctly. Nikola Tesla, born then and then, died then and then, so that we don't make a mistake and think about some other Nikola Tesla. And that is when I understood that I had to go to Sai Baba in 2001 because of Nikola Tesla. And who would connect those two people, Sai Baba and Nikola Tesla? But everything is connected. And that is how, my journey started.
So tell me about Tesla Metamorphosis. What is that?
That is a healing modality, but it is more than healing modality. When we talk about healing, our clients report healings from many illnesses that are labeled incurable, AIDS, chronic fatigue syndromes, lupus, and so on. And some even report healings from birth deformities and physically damaged spine. So if you go on website tm academy.org, and if you go to testimonials, you can hear a mother of 21-year-old girl stating how her doctor was amazed that only in 2 months, since he saw her previously, one side of her rib cage, which was much smaller and indented, developed to be equal to the other side. And also there are quite a few testimonials, but there is one very interesting video one young man had a car accident, and the doctor said that he will never walk again because his spine was heavily damaged. So he went for sessions with the Tesla Metamorphosis practitioner in Macedonia. And what happened in the first session, he levitated. So the practitioner was excited about that, and with his permission, she had put camera on the second session. And if you watch this video, this young man is laying on the back on the massage table. His arms are next to his body, but his legs are going up and down and left and right with very strong movements. So if somebody would do that with his muscles, he would have to hold for the table to keep the balance. But his arms are next to his body. And so he didn't levitate, but at the end of the session, he stepped off the table on his feet, and now he can walk. And so there are different stories like this, but I know when I talk about that, some people can't believe, or some people call that miracles. I personally do not believe in miracles. Everything's natural. It is just question whether we are capable to understand and explain some things or not. So when I was writing this book, Tesla Metamorphosis, Heal and Evolve, then I was trying to find explanations for those things that people call miracles. And that is how I came across Dr. Pyotr Garyaev. He's a member of Russian Academy. He was a member of Russian Academy of Science and New York Academy of Science, and he did research on DNA. So he discovered that our DNA follows some rules similar to the rules of human language. And in his experiments, he managed to get a salamander lizard of an embryo of frog just by changing information without cutting out or replacing a single gene. And that is why he states that frequency of energy can reprogram the DNA. So, for example, if we go back to this case of the girl who had birth deformity, what happened? Her DNA received the information how a healthy rib cage should be, and it developed. So all those healings are about information. And I don't know if you know, but Tesla was aware that energy is not just a mechanical movement of particles. He was aware that he was dealing with consciousness. There was a mutual respect between Nikola Tesla and Swami Vivekananda, and thanks to Swami Vivekananda, we have one letter he wrote to his colleague in India, where he wrote that in different colors in Tesla's laboratory, he could see Shiva and Vishnu and all gods, and he said that he could even feel the presence of Brahma. And then he said also something interesting, that Tesla talks to his electricity, giving it orders, which means that Tesla was aware that he was dealing with consciousness. So when we do any energy healing, we are actually in interaction with this universal consciousness. And depending on our frequency of consciousness, we have access to certain levels of this universal consciousness. Often people now ask me, oh, what's the difference between this and Reiki, or what's the difference between this and reconnective healing or Theta healing or whatever. The difference among modalities is not in how we wave our hands or where we place them. The difference is in what frequencies of energy we can access, and in other words, what levels of consciousness, this universal consciousness, we can access. So Yeah, and I talked to you about healing aspect, of the Tesla healing metamorphosis. But there is something that we do, and it's called Tesla soul communication. Uh, why I think that, I mean, sometimes it seems to me that we receive those amazing healings like a donkey a carrot, to be focused towards something what is even more important, and this is the elevation of consciousness. And what is very important, those Tesla waves, when we work with them, they elevate our consciousness to the level of crown chakra. Uh, in this second seminar, Tesla Soul Communication, uh, I can explain to you more, what is all that about. Like Dr. Bruce Lipton calls it energy psychology. Uh, Actually, we all have some things that we don't want to think about, we want to forget, and what we do, we uh, pack them nicely, put the ribbon on, and push them in our subconscious mind. But the problem is that that works from there, and that affects our reactions, our behavior, and what is worse, it affects our health. So in psychology and psychiatry, we use free associations and hypnotherapy to help people to bring this stuff from subconscious to the conscious level, because once it is on the conscious level, then we can deal with it and we can overcome the problem. So Tesla's soul communication is even uh, easier to work with, because we get much faster and in a simpler way to the results. Also, both hypnotherapy and free associations, they get to the level of the subconscious mind. In Tesla's soul communication, sometimes we get to the level of integrative mind, which is the soul level. And what does it mean? It means that even karmic healing could be reached, something that we carry with our karma from previous life or from parallel plane of existence. So that is why it is a very useful method that is equally useful for clients as for practitioners, because that's a great way how we could learn more about ourselves, about some hidden fears or desires. We can find out what is our purpose in this life, which is huge. Also, it could help people who are stuck, not knowing which way to go, or people who keep on repeating the same wrong patterns in their lives, to find out to to find out, why they're doing it. Or, for example, if there are some people have 3 healing sessions and there are no results, then this method could help them find out why they might be sabotaging themselves, or maybe punishing themselves, or maybe punishing somebody else, or maybe getting something from their illness. So that is a very useful method. But what fascinates me is, I was getting those messages that are in my head, like that I should teach that. And to be honest, I was arrogantly afraid. How could I teach that? Of course, I can do that, but how could I be sure that other people can do it? So messages were persistent, and the first seminar I did in Sydney, where I live, with 3 people I know. And so the more tasks I gave them, the better they were. And on the second day of the seminar, something interesting happened. It was beautiful day, blue sky, much more blue than in Europe. I don't know whether it's because of ozone holes or because it's a clear weather. So yeah, it was blue sky, sunny, and then all of the sudden the clouds accumulated, and it started lightning. And all four of us, as if somebody commanded, we turned toward the windows. Hi, Tesla, because Tesla's nickname was the master of lightning. And so I took it as an omen. Yes, I should teach that. And so I don't know how many people went through these seminars, and what is amazing, they all were able to create communication with clients who might be on the other side of the world, who might be speaking some language they don't know, because the language is not a barrier. The communication goes through meanings, pictures, and emotions. And then we write down everything. And so they all can do it.
What is the process? Is it like some teaching or
It's healing, yeah. But how we do it in the class, when I teach it in this second seminar, in the class, one of the exercises is that every student brings a photo of somebody who needs healing. Then those photos are mixed, and everybody works with somebody he doesn't know, and then writes down everything that comes through. And the one who brought the photo gives the feedback. So there is always a lot of fun in the class when people get surprised that there are no doubts that they were communicating with this particular person, because you can recognize their style, their belief system, even bywords, and so on and so on. But what was what was going as a question in my mind, how does it happen? Because when I was doing Reiki, I knew what I was doing. I was doing an attunement, all the symbols, chakra, putting symbols in hands and so on. Here, I don't do any attunement. So how comes that people who were not clairvoyant, didn't have any similar abilities, all of a sudden they can create communication with somebody they don't know, somebody who might be on the other side of the world, who might be speaking completely an unknown language to them, and so on. So what helped me find out? I mentioned that there was mutual respect between Swami Vivekananda and Nikola Tesla. And Tesla once said that prana, akasha, and kalpas could be the only theories that could entertain modern science. So that motivated me to attend classes of teaching of Swami Vivekananda. And when I was doing Vedanta, then Swami taught us about meditation that has a purpose of elevating consciousness. So this meditation starts from basic chakra, which is red, up to the 7 chakras, and finishes with purple chakra, the crown chakra. And Swami said that not every yogi would manage to reach the level of the crown chakra. So when we were doing research with Dr. Professor Ristovsky, he was making images of auras of students before attending Tesla Healing Metamorphosis seminar and after attending Tesla Healing Metamorphosis seminar. And these photos had shown that there was a huge shift in their energy field and their consciousness frequency. And what was interesting, each had purple colors in their auras. So that's why he named us Teslians. But it seems that those Tesla waves simultaneously brings us, lazy and not so disciplined creatures as yogis to the level of crown chakra. And that was the only explanation that I could find. How comes that those people who didn't have any similar abilities all of the sudden can reach connection with other person in that could be, you know, anywhere in the world, and on the conscious, subconscious, and soul level. So that and that is why I think that I mean, I am aware that most people get attracted to Tesla Metamorphosis because of those healing results, but I personally think that this effect on elevating human consciousness is even more important, especially because I believe that at the moment we are in the period of kalpas, and that's a cosmic process of destroying and reconstructing. This is the cosmic process of metamorphosis. So, and hopefully the butterfly will come out.
Oh, thank you. That was wonderful.